Welcome back guys to a new Baki video. Today we're ranking all the main Baki series arcs from, worst to best, or this on this tier list here from S to D, because I don't really think there's any arc that's worthy of F tier, and this is only comparing the Baki arcs against themselves. So I'm not comparing them against any other manga. For example, I'm not comparing maybe the Death Ray Inmates arc to the Berserk Golden Age arc, because there's no comparison. This is just within the Baki universe in the comparison. So yep, if you're new here and enjoy Baki content, make sure to subscribe and let's go. So we have the I believe 11 main arcs from the series here, so let's go. So the first arc of the series, the Underground Arena Saga, the introduction to the series, various fights. It's honestly not the best introduction to the series in my opinion, but it does have some pretty interesting fights. It has multiple tournament arcs, multiple training scenes. We get to see a large variety of characters. You get to see Yujiro greatness. So that's all good. So I'm going to probably put it at B tier. Pretty decent, not the best arc. I may change the rankings down later, and let me know down in the comments as well your opinion on this list. Up next, we pretty much have the childhood arc that involves a lot of training for Baki, a lot of backstory for Yujiro. We get to see a lot of Yujiro in this, which is cool to see. Always love to see more of Yujiro, the absolute peak Chad in the series. And we get the the final ending of the arc with the big battle between Baki and Yujiro, with Baki getting absolutely destroyed and Yujiro pretty much killing his mum. So that's just how it is. That arc's probably A tier, honestly. There's a bit of low parts that aren't really that interesting, but as a whole, that arc was very good and I really enjoyed that one as a whole. Up next, we have the Maximum Tournament arc. A lot of great fights. It's pretty much a whole lot of fights. Absolutely great to see. There's a lot of fights that are kind of trash and not really interesting, but the main fights throughout are very good, such as Baki vs Retsu, Baki vs Jack, of course, Goki vs Orochi, and the various other fights you get to see. They're all great, so I'm going to put this at A tier as well for some of the top tier fights in the series, and with Jack vs Baki being one of my favorite fights in the whole series still to this day. So yep, absolute hype for that arc. Up next, we have the Most Evil Death Ray Inmates arc. So this was a bit of a different arc compared to the previous three, and was really a lot of people's introduction to the series with the Netflix adaptation of it, picking it up from this arc, and it was a lot different. We got to see all the Death Ray inmates, and honestly I really enjoyed this arc as one of my favorite in the whole series. As this is my personal opinion, I'm going to put this in S tier because I just really enjoyed the Strange. I enjoyed all the prisoners. I watched all of this arc in like one day. The reading of it was good as well. I really enjoyed it. We got to see a lot of characters apart from the main three we got to really see beforehand. We didn't get much Yujiro in this arc, which is a bit of a disappointment, but that's okay for now. But the prisoners are so cool, and I really enjoyed the differences this arc approached with the story. So there you go. Up next, we have the Rattai Tana arc. So had great fights in this. The ending was kind of the biggest letdown of this arc. If this arc kept with the main tournament format that it started with possibility that Yujiro and Baki would have been fighting at the end of it, that would have been absolutely hype, and have some other cool fights in between. But no, they had to do the new order or new tournament style halfway through when Team USA or the non-Chinese people started destroying the Chinese. So it was a bit of a letdown near the end. The fights were good, especially Yujiro vs Kaki, even though the end was a bit cocky. But yeah, it was pretty good. I'm probably going to put this in B tier. I think it's a worthy B tier for that arc. Up next, we have the Ali Jr. arc. It's notorious as one of the most hated arcs in the whole Baki franchise, and I personally agree with that. There were some cool fights in the arc, especially with Jack beating down Simp Boy Ali Jr., but as a whole, following Ali in his simp ways was a bit of a letdown, and the end of the arc was one of the biggest disappointments as a whole. So yep, feels bad for Ali Jr. being the first D tier. Up next, we have the another prison arc, so Baki going to prison, and I'm going to include the shadow boxing little mini arc that occurred before this. I enjoyed some aspects of the shadow boxing, but not really the long drawn out Prey Mantis fight. It lasted too long in my opinion. And then the arc itself, the prisoner arc, fucking Baki going to prison to fight Oliver, it was okay. The Che Guevara stuff was pretty interesting for the most part. There was a lot of drawn out bits I didn't really care about, but the fight between Oliver and Baki, and of course we got to see best girl in the whole series in this arc, so you know, I'm happy to see that, so I'm going to put that in B tier for now. Up next we have the Good Boy Pickle arc. So as a whole, this arc was very enjoyable. I enjoyed a lot of the fights throughout this arc. The introduction or the start of the arc with all the various fighters meeting up at one place to see Pickle was one of my favorite moments in the whole series. Then, you know, the handshake between Yujiro and Pickle was absolutely great. A lot of top tier fights between this, such as Jack vs Pickle, one of the most brutal and crazy multiple fights we had in the whole series. Pickle's just a good boy, one of my personal favorite characters in the whole series, so I'm going to put this in A tier. I really enjoyed the Pickle arc, it was very good. I didn't have a lot of exclamation dumps I didn't really care about. They did go back to the dinosaur shit a lot throughout this arc, but I kind of didn't really mind a lot of that stuff, and I kind of found it kind of cool and interesting, so there you go. Up next we have the Yujiro vs Baki fighting arc. So the most of this arc was just the Yujiro vs Baki fight. We got to see Yujiro for the first time, Yujiro's father, Baki's grandfather for the first time, so that was cool to see. The earlier parts before the actual fight occurred wasn't really the best. It was just really them fucking around, just, you know, preparing and all that, but the fight was honestly top tier. I'm going to put this in S tier as one of the best fights in the whole series, and probably one of the longest fights in the whole series. Up next we have the Miyamoto arc. So cutting out all the dialogue dumps and the scientists, you know, cloning him and all that, I think this arc is probably one of the best in the series. Had one of the coolest moments in the whole series in my opinion, with Baki, you know, threatening to kill Miyamoto if he pretty much continued to attack Hanayama, with him showing, you know, murderous intent for one of the first times in the whole series, which is absolute hype. Miyamoto an absolute chad. The ending was the biggest yikes out of any of these arcs in my opinion, rivaling the Ali Jr. arc with that ending. So for that, I'm going to put it in B tier, but it's very close to A. I'm going to put it at the top of B tier. Actually, yeah, I'm going to put it at the top of B tier for now. And then the last arc that's still ongoing to this day is the sumo arc. So for now, from what I've seen, I'm going to put it in C tier. Not the most enjoyable, better than the Ali Jr. arc. We have some cool fights, but still, I don't think it's the best arc, and I'll probably maybe change it later on once the arc concludes. But for now, the 70 chapters I've read that have been released so far, it's worthy of the C tier. Do I need to move anything around? I think this is pretty good order. I'm gonna move that there, and yeah, I think that's my personal order I think for this tier list. Hope you enjoy. Let me know down in the comments your tier list for the Baki arcs. This isn't including any of the spin-off or side mangas to the series. This is just the main mangas and all the arcs involving that. So yep, that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed, and peace.